There's a secret that Titleist has that they do not, I don't think, want you to know about. But don't you worry, I am going to tell you about it anyways. The new Titleist T150s. Whole new kind of T-series irons they've got. We're going to learn about, and I'm going to reveal the secret. It's no joking. It's for real. Starting today, Titleist is announcing their new release of their new iron series. Well, it's a add-on to their T-series irons. They have a new T100, they have a T150, they have a T200, a T350, pretty amazing, and some new U505 utilities that we will discuss as well. And then I will reveal the secret to you, because it will make more sense after we go over the new technology, and then we will put that secret to the ultimate test to see if it's really worth what it is. You'll get it as we go, but hopefully you'll pay. I don't want to reveal the secret too soon because I kind of want you to figure out what it is on your own, but it's pretty spectacular, and I think it's great. I think it's a great thing they did. In a nutshell, these irons are an improvement over the previous generations, which I have nearly all of them. But what they've done with the new T-Series 150s, 350s, 200, all those, is they have better turf interaction, okay? And then they have a whole new process for the tungsten weighting that they have in there. It's this ultra dense D18 tungsten and a 2000 degree aerospace brazing process that gives Titleist engineers precision with their center of gravity placement, delivering outstanding MOI, launch dynamics, all in a solid, fully forged design. All right, I kind of read that off their release, but they've got some new process with the tungsten. So ultimately what they've done is they've improved the tungsten that's in here, and they've given you better sole design, and they've given you just a better looking club overall. So basically you just get better control, accuracy, consistency with their new design. I still don't know how to program this thing, but you can, so it stops by itself. All right, so I went and I got fully fit for the T150s. Now, they make a T100. That's kind of like for your scratch to, let's say, 7 to 10 handicap. Then they make the 150s. Let's say that's scratch to maybe 12 to 15 handicap, depending on what you like. And then they have the T200s, which would be, 7 to 15 handicap type of player. And then they have the 350s now, which would be your higher handicap. Maybe you're looking for a lot more distance, a lot more forgiveness, and you just need a little extra height and pop on that ball. So that's kind of the new lineup currently. However, most players, pros, most players out there, and highly recommend this for everybody, but most players have some type of combo style set. And so when I get fit, that's usually what I do. What I got fit for was the 150s, and I got pitching wedge through 5 iron in the 150s. Then in the 4 iron, we have the new T200s. Then in the 3 iron, we get a lot more forgiveness, and we got the new U505 with the Tour AD graphite shaft. So we have the 150s through the 5 iron, and then as you go longer irons, you want more forgiveness, so we step it up, get the more forgiveness, higher launch in the T200s. Then we get even more forgiveness, more launch angle, and height, all that good stuff in the utility 505. And we have also this steel fiber shaft, which was a 95 grams, so steel fiber. It's kind of that hybrid between a graphite and a steel shaft. Steel fiber. There you go. That's typically how the fitting process goes. You get kind of a mix-up of different clubs so that you have maximum forgiveness throughout the whole set. That's why they make different models all together at the same time so that you can do stuff just like that. This is my current gamer set right now, and I'm using the T100S. And unless there's some dramatic difference between the 100S and the 150, I'm going to stick with the 100S as my gamer set. And we're going to put them to the test against those as well. Let's do some comparisons between the new T150s and previous generations and models of the T series irons that they released in the past. So here's the 100 versus the 150, just so you can get an idea of the differences. And just looking at these together from behind, they look very similar in shape. Now they have a new tungsten design in the 150s compared to the 100s, and the 100 would be just really the most, let's say the top players would play those, so a lot less forgiving. And in the 150s, you've got a bit, as you look on the bottom, the sole is a little bit larger, so you have a little more forgiveness in terms of turf interaction there. And you're going to have some more tungsten weight in the back to give you a little more lift on the ball. Other than that, they look fairly similar. Now, looking at the top line, that's where you're going to see the major difference. Looking down on the clubs is the 100s and the 150s are going to be a bit different because the 150 is going to have a thicker top line. What's the top line? That's the thickness of the face, really looking down. This is the top line looking down here. So that thicker face gives you more forgiveness as you hit higher on the face or farther away from the sweet spot center of the club. So they put some weight up here and move things around so that you're going to have more forgiveness. The better player doesn't necessarily need that. They need the weight lower because they hit it and closer to the center of the club face because they make contact there more often. That's why the off-center hits with the 100 are a lot less forgiving than even the 100Ss and the 150s and so on and so forth. As we compare it to the 100S, you're going to have it starting to look a lot closer in profile to the 100S and the 150. However, that top line on the 150 is still slightly larger than on the previous 100S, my current gamer. Again, that's going to give you a bit more forgiveness as you strike it farther and farther from the center of the club face. But all in all, the 150 and the 100S are very, very similar looking. Even looking at the back of the clubs, very close to the previous model 100, but a little more tungsten weight in the 100S, and you're going to have even more in the 150. So now comparing the 150 to the previous generation 200, you're starting to see it's a little similar, but now even on the sole, the 200, it's a little thicker sole, a little wider sole, so even more forgiving in terms of when you're interacting with the turf. And the 200 and the 300, 350 are going to have some more technology behind here that helps launch that ball a little bit farther and a little bit higher. So you're having that. And then the top line starts getting even thicker on the 200 and above than it does on the 150. So the 200 and up is catering more and more to that higher handicap player. Now, I don't have the 350 model, but it's similar to the previous generation 300, except you're going to have that updated technology. It's going to be even more forgiving. It's going to go a little bit more, and we'll show you what this does compared to its similar, same clubs in the previous models and the new model, but this is basically what the 350 looks like, similar, just a little more cleaned up with the new technology. And as you can see, looking down top line, it's much thicker. It looks more like nearly a hybrid or some type of utility club when you're looking down from the top. So you're getting that tons and tons of forgiveness and a lot of distance. Much more for that much higher handicap player or somebody with a much slower swing speed who needs a little extra giddy up, as they say. Now for the reveal of the secret, while the buildup. Here's the question, is this: does this new T150 remind you of any previous Titleist club that may have come out a long time ago? Could be maybe one of the best selling irons ever in the history of Titleist. Any guesses? I have it right here. Do you remember the Titleist AP2? I do. How do I remember that? Well, I used to play it. That was my gamer. Look at that sweet. I played this puppy quite a lot right here. And I'm telling you, the look of the AP2 and the new Titleist T150 is nearly identical. Nearly identical. Looking down, the top line looks, the only way I could tell the difference is because of the wear pattern on my old club. That's it. It is nearly identical. They might have made the top line of the 150 slightly thinner, and that would be something I would love, because this, as you can tell, the AP2, I love this bad boy. Looking from behind of the two clubs, this is almost looking at just an updated version of the AP2. They cleaned up and hid kind of the tungsten a little better. They just moved where they put the Titleist logo, just kind of cleaned it up. In my opinion, what they've done is they've taken like a 65 Ford Mustang and made a 2023 version of it that looks nearly the same, like it's the same muscle car in a new, just kind of cleaned up, nearly the same body style. And that is spectacular, given the fact that this really was one of Titleist's first irons for the average everyday player and one of the best-selling models of all time. So now they've given it back, updated version of it. And that I absolutely love. So now that you know the secret, that Titleist really, in my opinion, just remade the AP2s, and I love it. I love them for it. Let's see how the 150 compares and stacks up to the old 100, the 200, the 300, that ought to be interesting, the old 300, my gamer, the 100S, and the old former gamer AP2. We're going to hit 20 shots of everything and give you the results so that you can say yay, yay, or nay. That's it. Those are your choices. And will I choose this as my gamer or stick with my 100S as my gamer? That's also one of the questions. We'll begin with my gamer, the 100S. Now we'll go to my old AP2 gamer. Feels like an old friend coming back. This thing feels good. Next we'll go to the T100s. When you hit this one right, it's just kind of the best feeling there is in golf. But when you slightly mishit the 100, you're gonna feel that. All right, let's do the previous T200. just so we have a good comparison of where even last year's 200 stacks up against this year's 150 and the AP2 and all the other stuff. So I just want to do a quick sound test. I don't have a 7-iron in this year's 200, but I do have the 4-iron. So I just heard this 7-iron. I'm going to hit the 4-iron here. I'll delete it off our stats. But for me, I'm just listening to the sound. The new one sounds better than the previous one, in case you're wondering. I would imagine that with the new tungsten technology they have, they buttoned up the sound this one makes. This one always made like, it almost sounded like something was like not securely fashioned back here. Now this is the 300. I don't have the 350, the new one, but this should give us a good idea of what the 350 would do. I mean, talk about even more forgiving. I mean, the 200 is going crazy. Oh my God. You can hear it go through the air. It's like, you could hear like the wind chamber coming off the back of that thing, and then the contact. Why would you use the 300 and above? Obviously, if you have a really slow swing speed, something like this model is really going to help you. And you're going to hit the ball high with very little effort. So if you're really looking for something like that, then the 300 and above would be perfect for you. Let's look at where we are first with our data, and then we'll jump on the 150. All right, we're hitting all the same clubs. This is my current gamer. Average club head speed, 83 miles an hour, carrying 158, total 165, 59-100 spin, let's call it 6,000. Landing angle is perfect at 48 degrees. Ball speed is 113. All is good here. I could work on my dispersion a little bit, but you get the idea. 7-iron, kind of here in the studio. Now here's my old gamer, the AP2 from about 2008 or 9, and swing speed comes down a little bit, ball speed's down a little bit, landing angle's slightly lower but still great. Spin is a little bit higher, so getting a little bit more spin, and 151 carry, 159 total, so a little bit shorter from my old gamer, but look at that dispersion pattern. For the most part, it's pretty tight compared to everything else. But the ball's just not going as near as far, and it's spinning quite a bit more. Here's the T100. And as you can see, like I'm kind of all over the place. Club head speed's 81, ball speed's 110, and it's carrying 50, 151, 150. It's almost like the old AP2, to be honest with you. Spin rate 6,100, and a lot of that's from just mishits. I would imagine not everything's as pure as can be. Probably hit a few that were really solid, but that's where you need that little extra forgiveness. That old T100 isn't as forgiving as even the AP2s and obviously my current gamer. Then we bump it up to that T200, the old model. Club head speed actually picked up a little bit, so you can swing that one a little faster. Obviously, slightly different shaft. Ball speed's a bit higher. Landing angle is at 48. That's great. Carrying it a bit farther at 164 with less spin. So more carry, less spin, 5,300 spin. So they really kind of knock down the spin rate, gets that ball up in the air pretty good, and it goes a long way. But again, the feel and control isn't necessarily where I would prefer it. And then here's the T300 from the previous model generation. Just imagine what the 350 might do for you here. But we're getting 117 ball speed, 169 average carry, 181 total, and 4,900, like not much spin, so you don't have a ton of stopping power. And interestingly, that ball's coming out lower. The landing angle is 44 versus 48. You kind of want above 45 is ideal, and the higher you can get it with good spin, you have better stopping power. Obviously, the higher it comes in, the steeper the angle, and with more spin is better than less spin. 49 is a bit low. Now, if you look at them all, let's say grouped together, try to pick, you could see the misses with that T300, it's kind of all over the planet. So not ideal for me. I would say, what's the tightest dispersion pattern here would be, gosh, it's kind of a toss-up between my gamer in the white and the blue, which would be the T100s. Pretty tight dispersion pattern. And my old gamer, man, that orange is looking pretty tight as well. And typically it's all about the misses. When you're missing shots, that's really what you want to look for. So the white, I mean, there's a couple off, but that's what I'm comfortable with currently. The red is pretty good. That's the T200. I'm just not happy with, let's say, the spin of it and some of the misses and the sound and feel. But the new one did feel pretty good. But I just had the 4-iron in that. That's why I went with that one in those longer irons. So those misses aren't going to be as costly as with other clubs. But we're really interested to see how the T150 stacks up currently versus my gamers, the old models, all the other stuff. So now let's put it to the test. It has an advantage because it knows what to beat, disadvantage because it's going last. I've hit a bunch of shots. I've taken some rest. It's time to do it. And what should you be looking for when you're testing out new clubs? Where do you want to be? Distance, dispersion. I think I'm comfortable with my distance unless we lose a lot. Like I like to keep it around where I'm hitting it. But if we can get that pattern in tighter, that's going to be better ultimately. And we're always looking at what are those bad shots like? That's what I want to see. Is my bad shot in somebody's pool or is it just in the first cut or second cut of rough? That's what we want to know. Already, I will say, after 2 shots, the feel is phenomenal. Now, it's a combination of the steel fiber shaft and the head, but it does feel very, very solid. No slappiness. All right, I did not delete any shots from anything I hit. The only one I deleted was that 4-iron. I kept everything. So it's not like I cherry-picked and took off the worst 3. No, we kept everything. Let's see what the 150 did. Okay, T150. Club head speed on average, 83. I don't know why I'm swinging a little faster. Ball speed is 116. Landing angle, 48. It's coming in pretty steep. Carry was 163. Total 170, 5,900 spin rate. And on average, I had 1 foot of curve. Like I didn't have any curve. The ball just went straight. Let's look at the grouping of this and see if there's anything that stands out compared to the rest. All right, we're always going to hit a bad shot or 2. I just have 2 left, 1 short. That is a tight grouping, and it's nearly as far on average as the T200. I might have to reevaluate my current gamer setup. This thing's pretty special. What do you guys think? You know what I did feel like? I felt like we took this AP2, which I absolutely, as you can tell, loved, and just gave it a full-on makeover and created the T150 with us. I mean, it's the same, but way better and a better shaft. I didn't think I'd be sold because I just got the new shafts in the T100Ss. But after seeing these numbers, we're going to have to check it out on course. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Let me know your thoughts. Love you guys. See you next time.